Hey, friends, and welcome back to our True Identity, the podcast where we peel back the labels we've worn and dig into what it really means to be fully known, seen, and loved by God. I'm Craig, and I'm so glad you're tuning in. Whether this is your first time here or you've been walking this road with us for a while, I just want to say you are welcome here. You don't need to have it all together. You don't need to be healed or perfect to pull up a seat. This is a space where we talk honestly about who we are, where we've been, and who we're becoming in light of who Jesus is. Today, we're diving into the very first principle of Celebrate Recovery, and it's a big one: powerlessness. Now, don't tune out. I know powerlessness doesn't sound like the most exciting or encouraging word, right? It sounds like defeat, like weakness, like something you don't want to admit to. But stick with me, because here's the truth. Understanding our powerlessness is the gateway to freedom. It's the front door to transformation. And I've learned this the hard way, over and over. This isn't just theory for me, it's real life. If you've been with me through this podcast, you've heard bits of my story. And if this is your first time here, let me just say this. I'm a guy who spent years trying to fix myself, control everything around me, and white-knuckle my way through habits I couldn't seem to shake. From anxiety and alcoholism to sexual integrity struggles, I've tried to clean it all up myself and found myself more exhausted and empty than ever before. So today, we're talking about what it looks like to admit we're powerless and why that's actually the most powerful thing we can do. There's this thing we all do. You might recognize it in your own life. We convince ourselves that if we try just a little harder, if we plan better, pray more right, avoid the hard stuff, show up with a smile, we'll finally get it all under control. But here's what I've learned. The illusion of control is exactly that, an illusion, and it is exhausting. Let me give you a real-life example. A couple of weeks ago, I was late to an important meeting. Why? Because I couldn't find my car keys. Not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, right? But I felt totally undone. My pulse quickened, my chest tightened, and the self-talk kicked in. Why didn't you prepare better? Why do you always do this? You're letting everyone down. Now, was that really about the car keys? Of course not. That was about control, my illusion of control being shattered. And what's underneath that for so many of us is fear. Fear of being exposed, of being judged, of not being enough. And here's the deal. Fear feeds control, and control feeds isolation. The Celebrate Recovery NIV Study Bible talks about this beautifully. It tells the story of a father who, in his struggle with addiction, chooses to escape to a strip club rather than be present with his child. I know, it's a hard image, but it's a real one. We all numb somehow, with porn, food, achievement, people-pleasing, even ministry. We escape because facing the pain head-on feels like too much, so we control what we can or think we can and run from the rest. But all that control, it actually keeps us stuck. The Bible has a lot to say about this. James 4:6 tells us, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And pride is not just arrogance. It's that belief that I can do this without help, that I can clean myself up, fix my spouse, manage my emotions, and keep it all together if I just try hard enough. But the opposite of that pride, humility, starts when we say the words most of us dread, I can't. I'll be honest, this wasn't a lesson I wanted to learn. I'm a driven guy. I like lists, clarity, structure. I like being useful. It's one of the deepest lies I've had to unlearn, that my worth is tied to my output or to how in control I appear. I think that's why this principle hit so hard the first time I led a Celebrate Recovery step study. I was guiding others through questions I hadn't fully let myself answer. Questions like, where were you trying to find hope? What things are you ready to let God change in your life? How are you trying to be God in your own story? Oof, those are not just workbook questions, they're spiritual excavation. And they led me back to this. I'm powerless. I can't heal my own wounds. I can't rewrite my past. I can't manage my addictions or my relationships or my emotions into a better place. But there is a power greater than myself who can. And that's where principle 1 comes in. Realize I'm not God. I admit I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. That word, unmanageable, used to make me flinch. I thought it meant failure, but now I realize it just means I'm human. It means I need help. It means I'm finally ready to let go of the death grip I've had on my life and let God take the wheel. And that's not weakness, that's surrender. So now the question becomes, how do we move from knowing we're powerless to actually living like we believe it? That's where Celebrate Recovery gives us something really helpful. In the Celebrate Recovery, there are 4 action steps that help us walk out this first principle in real life. These aren't just ideas, they're invitations. Let's walk through them together. 1. Stop denying the pain. This one hits home for me. I've spent years minimizing my pain, brushing it off, making jokes, stuffing it down, distracting myself with busyness, or drowning it out with fantasy and control. Sometimes I wasn't even aware I was doing it. I just knew I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. But the truth is, you can't heal what you won't admit. Psalm 6:2-3 says, "Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am faint. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in deep anguish. How long, Lord, how long?" David isn't sugarcoating anything. He's raw, honest, real. And that's the invitation for us, to be real with God. Not filtered, not polished, just honest. 2, stop playing God. Phew. This one, yeah. If I'm being honest, I've spent years acting like it was all up to me. I've tried to control outcomes, control people, control how I'm perceived. I've lived with this low-level belief that everything depends on me, that I've got to perform, produce, protect, plan, that I have to hold it all together or it will all fall apart. But you know what that gets you? Burnout, anxiety, disconnection, isolation. Matthew 6:24 says, "No one can serve 2 masters. You cannot serve both God and money." And I'd add, you can't serve both God and your ego either. The more I try to run the show, the less room I give God to move. And that's a hard truth I've had to come to terms with. Because I'm not God, I'm not Savior, I'm not strong enough to carry the weight of the world, and I was never meant to be. And when I finally laid that down, even just for a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. 3. Start admitting your powerlessness. This one might sound backwards, but it's the most freeing thing you can do. Let me say this clearly. Powerlessness is not weakness. Powerlessness is honesty. When I admit I'm powerless over the things that keep tripping me up, the habits, the thoughts, the emotions I can't control, I'm not giving up. I'm opening up. Matthew 19:26 reminds us, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." I want that to sink in for a second, because I know how easy it is to believe the lie that this will never change, that this cycle will always be here, that healing is for other people, not for you, that your marriage, your addiction, your depression, your anger is just part of your wiring. But what if you're not stuck? What if your freedom starts not with trying harder, but with admitting you can't do it without help? That's where hope lives. Let me just say this out loud. It's okay to admit that your life feels out of control. For years, I thought being a good Christian meant being composed, being calm, being the guy who shows up early, leads well, prays confidently, and never lets anything get to him. But inside, I was full of chaos, guilt, lust, shame, pressure, secrets, and it was eating me alive. Psalm 40:12 says, "For troubles without number surround me. My sins have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my heart fails within me." That verse has become a prayer for me, a way of saying, God, I can't see my way out of this, but I know you can. We can't receive healing if we're pretending we don't need it. And that's why this step is so crucial. It's where we move from managing our messes to surrendering them. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, Craig, I get it. I'm powerless. But what do I do now? Just sit around and wait for God to fix everything? No, not at all. This isn't passivity, it's partnership. You're not stepping back. You're stepping in to a relationship with a God who loves you too much to leave you where you are. You're choosing to trust his power instead of your performance. You're choosing to walk with others in community instead of pretending you can do this alone. And that's what Celebrate Recovery is all about. We stumble, we struggle, we fall, and then we get up together by God's grace and we try again. That's the rhythm of recovery. That's the beauty of transformation. And that's where your true identity begins to shine, not in the image you present to the world, but in the person you become when you let go and let God. One of the most powerful things I've learned in recovery and in life is that healing doesn't happen in isolation. We were never meant to carry these burdens alone. When I first stepped in to celebrate recovery, I was terrified of being seen. Not just seen in the superficial way, like people knowing my name or what I do, but really seen. Seen for my struggles, seen for my secrets, seen for the mess behind the mask. But what I found was grace. I found people who weren't shocked by my sin or scared of my story. I found men who nodded their heads when I shared the stuff I thought would drive them away. And over time, something started to change. I stopped trying to be the strongest guy in the room, and I started learning how to be the most surrendered. That's where transformation begins. So before we wrap up today, let me leave you with a few questions. Maybe take these to prayer, to journaling, or even to your small group. Where in your life are you still pretending you're in control? What pain have you been denying that you need to name today? What would it look like to admit your powerlessness, not just to yourself, but to someone else you trust? And finally, what would change if you really believe that God can do for you what you cannot do for yourself? Take a deep breath right now. You're not in this alone. You never were. Let me close by reading Psalm 40:11 through 13 one more time. Do not withhold your mercy from me, Lord. May your love and faithfulness always protect me. The troubles without number surround me. My sins have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my heart fails within me. Be pleased to save me, Lord. Come quickly, Lord, to help me. David knew what it felt like to be overwhelmed. He knew what it felt like to mess up. And yet, he also knew the unshakable faithfulness of God. So today, if you're listening and feeling buried by failure, anxiety, temptation, or shame, hear me clearly. You are not alone. You are not disqualified. You are not too far gone. This is the beginning of something new. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, maybe you're close to South Park or Bethel Park, I want to invite you to join us Friday nights at 7 p.m. at Peters Creek Baptist Church for Celebrate Recovery. It's a place where real people come with real struggles and experience real healing. No judgment, no pressure, just grace and truth. And if you're not local, visit crlocator.com to find a Celebrate Recovery group near you. Let this be the day you stop carrying it all on your own. Hey, thank you so much for listening today. If this episode encouraged you, it would mean a lot if you shared it with someone who needs hope. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode in our series, A Journey to Christlike Transformation. Until then, keep walking forward, keep surrendering, and keep remembering who you really are in Christ. This has been our true identity. I'm Craig, and I'll see you next time.